Today's episode was sponsored by Incogni. I think I may have found the single greatest video on the internet. I don't use this word lightly, but I genuinely think that it's important. It's beautiful, it's enlightening, and I'm not gonna lie, I cried when I watched it. Pause this right now and take a deep breath, because once I show you what I'm about to, your world will be changed forever. Okay, here it is. As I've just demonstrated, it is not fun to expect something good only to be greeted with a robot. Unfortunately though, that happens all the time with robocalls, and that's why I use Incogni. Basically, the reason that robocalls happen is data brokers. If you've ever given out your information, there's a chance that a data broker has taken it and then sold it to a bunch of companies who use it to contact you, even when you wish they wouldn't. Once you're on a data broker's list, they're required to remove you from it if you ask them to. But unfortunately, there are so many of them, and they're so hard to contact that can be very difficult to do on your own. And that's where Incogni comes in. With Incogni, all you gotta do is put in your information and sit back while they do the rest. I did it myself, and it really is that easy. Right now, Incogni is offering my viewers 60% off on an annual plan, so follow the link below and use code WillyMuse to start taking back your personal data today. With Incogni, I've taken control of my data, and I'll never have my expectations dashed by a robot again. Why did it have boobs? A few days ago, I got a message from my patron Charlie informing me that there's a Christian movie called The Bible, The Badge, and Bigfoot. And without knowing a single other thing about it, I decided that that was going to be the subject of my next video. So I found it on Tubi, obviously, and I watched it, and I'm happy to report that it was everything I was hoping it would be and then some. I feel like I could probably talk about this movie for 2 hours straight. Which is saying something, because it's only an hour long. So yeah, I'm going to talk about it. But before I do that, I want to take a second to acknowledge that this is a lot lower budget than a lot of the things I talk about on here, so while I will still be making fun of it, I'm going to do my best to try and avoid making fun of that aspect of it, because that feels kind of shitty. I feel pretty confident that the people behind this and I don't see eye to eye on a lot, but I gotta say that I actually commend them for making this. They had an idea for a movie, and they used the resources they had to make it happen, and I honestly think that's kind of badass. That said though, I am curious why this was the idea for a movie that they had. I'm not entirely sure what the thought process was here. The plot is as simple as it is bizarre. Basically, a Bigfoot is terrorizing a small town, and it's up to a local cop to stop him. Still, just because there's not a lot to it, that doesn't mean that it's easy to follow. It is not. Frankly, had I gone into this knowing nothing about it, I don't think I would have even realized that it was about Bigfoot until a quarter of the way through, because before that point, they mostly just focus on a love story between the main cop and the town mayor. We first meet the two at a rendezvous they're having on the docks, and it's clear right from the start that there's a spark there.
Hey Claire, what are you doing?
Hey Chief, how are you?
I'm enjoying my weekend. I love it down here.
I'm glad you're enjoying your weekend. Hopefully there shouldn't be too many files on your desk on Monday.
Any word on what's going to be on the agenda coming up?
I'm not supposed to say anything, but I know they're going to make budget cuts.
At first, I kind of assumed that between her being his boss and her giving him information she's not supposed to, that this was meant to be a secret relationship. But that's apparently not the case, because this scene ends with the cop saying this.
I have a few minutes. You want to grab some coffee?
Sure.
We then watch as the two of them have breakfast together and loudly discuss the budget cuts in public where everyone can hear them.
I wanted you to know, so that you could be prepared.
Well, I appreciate that.
I've already tried to talk to them.
Well, thank you for speaking with them.
But you know, the mayor doesn't get a vote. But I certainly did put my 2 cents in about it.
That's too bad. I won't be able to blame you if they fire me.
If we're being honest, they probably could have called this movie The Badge, The Bible, and Budget Cuts, because they are as important to the plot as Bigfoot is. Like I said, he's barely present in these earlier scenes. Like, they do kind of allude to him at one point after the breakfast date, but it's so unrelated to everything else that's happening in the plot that it feels jarring more than anything.
Thanks for the coffee. I'll see you Monday.
Enjoy your weekend.
That unpleasant shot right there is pretty much the only hint of Sasquatch we get for a while, which, like, it's not nothing, but I do feel like it gets a bit overshadowed by this minute-long montage of the two main characters walking on the beach. I'm still not entirely sure why they included that part, but I do think they probably could have cut it down to 45 seconds and used the rest of the time for something more interesting. It honestly doesn't have to be much. Just show me a fuzzy hand and I'll be good. Thankfully though, once that sequence is over, the movie finally gives the audience what it came for, by talking about budget cuts some more.
Considering disbanding the police department.
That's a shame to hear. Maybe you should swallow humble pie.
I'm never swallowing humble pie.
That fellow right there is the town sheriff, and he is my absolute favorite character in the movie because for whatever reason, we just never see his face. I might be wrong, but my hunch is that they do it this way because the guy playing the main cop is also doing the sheriff's voice because, well, whoever it is definitely doing a voice. I don't believe for one second that anyone actually talks like this.
Humble pie could be good for you, Harrison. That's why I'm still in office.
The sheriff serves as the movie's secondary antagonist after Bigfoot. He basically sucks up to the council and absorbs a lot of the responsibilities of the police force, which leads to the main dude losing his job. And I'm not gonna lie, this felt like a weird choice. If you haven't figured it out from all this talk of budget cuts, this movie is meant to be a response to defund the police. I think that the point of it is to kind of say like, sure, you say you don't want them, but who do you think you're gonna call in a real emergency? But by setting things up this way, the movie is answering its own question. It's the sheriff. And frankly, I feel like that's kind of beside the point of the argument I think they're going for here, because I'm fairly certain that ACAB includes sheriffs. I know that there is a difference between the two departments, but I think for the purposes of this issue, they're effectively the same thing. I don't know that anyone is out there chanting, "Defund the police!" and reallocate those funds to the sheriff. Also, not for nothing, but based on what we hear at the town council meeting, this very much sounds like the smartest decision they could have made.
We've decided to disband the police department because the town needs to allocate funds to the fire department. There have been more fires every winter than there's need for a police department.
No need for the police department. Can I speak here? Who's going to answer the calls?
The sheriff has decided to handle the calls.
The sheriff? Oh, he wants the contract. Is that what this is about? So you can give the fire department a raise and a new fire engine, but then you have to cut the police department.
But we just need the funds to help offset all these
what about cutting my
fires.
salary? I made some good relationships here, and I care about the town. I don't care about the money. Cut my salary, I'll take a pay cut. Will that work?
Now, Chief Harrison, you've done a wonderful, fine job with the people. But we just need the funds to help offset all these fires.
Okay.
How the fuck many fires do they have? Jesus. That definitely sounds like an issue. Especially because from what we see, their town is very woody. These people are basically living in kindling, so if there really are as many fires as that disembodied voice made it seem like there are, they should be putting every cent they have into the fire department. Honestly, even if there was only one fire a year, that still feels like a better use of their resources. Because I'm not sure that the movie's justification for why they need a police force is really all that strong. I feel like a lot of you have probably pieced this together by now, but I still feel like I need to say it outright because it is truly unhinged. As I said, this movie seems to be trying to argue against defund the police by asking the question, who are you gonna call in a real emergency? But its idea of a real emergency is a Bigfoot attack. Now, I'm not an expert in political debate, but I do think that generally speaking, arguments tend to be a lot stronger when they're rooted in reality. The fact that in order to show us why police are necessary, they had to turn to a creature that probably doesn't exist makes me think like, okay, so they probably aren't necessary. Although honestly, even in a world where Bigfoots are a huge problem, I still say that fires feel like the bigger threat. The worst thing that Bigfoot does in this movie is kidnap a few children, which, you know, not great, but still not as bad as all of downtown going up in smoke. Also, I'm not sure that Bigfoot attacks would even fall under the jurisdiction of the police. That seems more like a job for animal control or the parks department. Or possibly some shadow agency that the public doesn't know about. Whatever though, this is what the movie's going with, so after another long montage of the two of them on the beach, we finally get to the Bigfoot shit. This is mostly done in the form of news reports. A large chunk of this movie is just watching characters listen to the radio.
From skulls and figurines to a giant footprint, even some DNA-tested Bigfoot hair. Portland's International Cryptozoology Museum has it all when it comes to creatures that may or may not exist.
Some people just don't want to talk about when they've seen something like that.
But that doesn't mean everyone wants to believe in Yetis.
Most likely, it's just one of the big hairy guys that live around here, roaming around.
How is that better? If anything, a giant hairy man terrorizing the woods sounds way scarier to me than a Bigfoot. And that's not the only Bigfoot-related news report we watch. Based on what we see here, the local media is covering the legendary beast with a sense of urgency that is usually only reserved for 9/11s. And what's weird about that, aside from the fact that everyone is listening to the radio in 2019, is the fact that at this point, Bigfoot hasn't really done anything yet. The only thing we've seen him do is eat half of a goat and chase a hunter out of the woods. And granted, that probably sucked for that dude, but it hardly feels like it requires calling in the National Guard. Still, for whatever reason, the mayor believes that this is a huge emergency, so she turns to the main dude for help. He tells her to fuck off, which is understandable because he was like just fired.
A hunter came in this morning. He saw something.
A hunter?
He swears it was Bigfoot.
I don't have time to play games. Why don't you just give that to the sheriff?
He laughed at me. You're the only hope we have in this town.
I'm still not entirely sure why this dude is so necessary here, because ultimately all he's gonna do to stop Bigfoot is go into the woods with a gun. So like, I feel like a lot of people could probably pull that off. Honestly, I feel like I could do it if you gave me a gun. It really doesn't seem that hard. It's basically just shooting a big hairy guy. Done that before. The next day, we're introduced to the only other characters in the movie that have faces besides the main two. 3 random little girls who, if they have names, I sure as hell didn't bother to learn them.
You guys want to go to the park after school and cheer practice today? Sure, I would love to. I love going to the park on rainy days. Yeah, but I'm still kind of sore from last practice. And those woods are sort of creepy, but it'll still be fun. Yeah. I can't wait to go. We better get going. Come on.
Yeah, I'm not great at faces, but that's the same little girl 3 times, right? I haven't brought this up until now because it hasn't really been an issue until now, but I'm fairly certain that this movie is a family affair. Everyone listed in the credits has the same last name. If I were to guess, I'd say that the main couple are a husband and wife, and these are their kids. I'm not sure who's playing the body of the sheriff, but he also has the last name right, so my guess is he's either the cop's dad or the couple's third. And again, good for them. I think it's awesome when people use what they have to create stuff, but that said, when you do that, I also think you need to adjust to what you have. The couple clearly has very strong genes, which have resulted in 3 remarkably similar looking children. So I think it's cool that they cast them in a movie. I don't know that it makes sense having them playing anything other than sisters. They make a point of having them mention your mom in a way that implies that it's not the same mom, and I found it a little bit distracting. I'm not sure why I'm bringing that up though. In the grand scheme of this film, that feels very nitpicky. The fact that 50% of this film's cast is children is unfortunate for the purposes of this video because I really don't want to make fun of their scenes. But I'm not really sure what else to do in this situation. And honestly, I don't think that the kids themselves are bad. I actually think they've done a great job with what they've been given. It's just that what they've been given is strange.
You're so lucky. I heard Johnny wants to take you to the dance, and Jesse's mega jealous.
Oh my gosh, that's really crazy. I've always wanted someone to take me to the dance.
I suppose, if you don't mind sore toes and bad breath.
The dialogue in this movie feels like it exists in the uncanny valley. It's so close to being human that there's honestly something a little bit creepy about it. There are certain moments in here where I genuinely questioned if the person making this actually understands basic human interaction. I don't know if you noticed in that clip I just showed you, but the little girls aren't actually facing one another when they're talking. The girls hear a twig snap in the woods and run away scared. They then proceed to make what may very well be the most perplexing decision that I have ever seen put to film. And before I play this clip, I need you all to know that I have not edited this in any way. Everything I'm about to show you actually plays out in the movie in this exact order.
Oh my gosh, what was that? Go, run! 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 Guys, what? Let's play hide and seek. Cindy, you first. Okay, let's go. Count to 30. 30?
As a general rule of thumb, I think you should wait at least 24 hours after running for your life before starting a game of hide and seek, because anything less than that is asking for trouble. In the meantime, if you simply must play a game, I suggest cards or charades or really anything that requires you to stay together and keep your eyes open. Unfortunately, the girls learned this lesson the hard way.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Once 3 little girls go missing, the sheriff can no longer ignore the threat lurking in the woods, so he goes and investigates.
Have you seen anything?
I haven't seen anything.
What, no clothing? Shoes? No tracks at all? You gotta be kidding.
Let me call you back. Let me call you back. I think I just heard something.
Okay, call me back.
And that is why we should never defund the police. Apparently. Actually, no, even in the context of this movie, the fact that they got rid of the police doesn't really have many consequences, because obviously the main dude ends up fighting Bigfoot in the end. So yeah, everyone wins. Especially the taxpayer. The mayor doesn't know that he's eventually going to do the right thing, though, so once the sheriff is brutally murdered, she goes to the guy's wood chopping field to try and convince him to help her out.
Did you see the news?
Yeah, I seen the news. What's the sheriff doing about it?
He went missing.
Did that not make the news? We've heard like 12 different reports about Bigfoot at this point, so you'd think they could have devoted at least a little bit of airtime to the mysterious disappearance of what seems to be the town's only law enforcement official. The main dude tells the mayor that he might help her, which at first seems understandable given that he was just fired, but the more I think about it, the more it seems kind of evil. Because while I can't be 100% sure about any element of this movie's plot, I am fairly certain that it's implied that one of the missing little girls is also the mayor's daughter. But again, just one, because they're not related. And seeing as they clearly have a pre-existing relationship, you'd think that he'd help her out, no question. Instead, he coldly sends her out into the woods by herself to look for the girls, and like, she is not good at looking.
Cindy! God, please. Please keep her safe. Cindy! Cindy!
Have you considered walking, maybe? That tends to be very helpful when you're looking for people. Also, this is obviously another instance of them being limited by their budget, but it does feel weird that she's doing this alone right now. I think that most of the time when a child goes missing, the bulk of the people looking for them are volunteers. And seeing as she's literally the mayor, you'd think that she'd be able to get a group together. I don't know, maybe she's crooked and everyone hates her. Like I said though, eventually the cop comes to his senses and helps her out.
We're gonna find them, and we're gonna kill them. And we're gonna save those girls. You ready?
I'm ready.
Let's go.
I feel like he maybe shouldn't be making promises like that because it feels like very wishful thinking. I don't know that I'd ever be in a situation where I thought that a Bigfoot took my child, but if I were, I'd almost certainly assume that he tore them to shreds. From there, they kind of just walk around the woods for a while looking for Bigfoot, which made me a little uncomfortable because I feel very confident in two things. One, they did not get permits to film in those woods, and two, the guns they are using are absolutely real. And that feels like a bad combination to me. I know that I personally would be very nervous if I were a hiker who unknowingly wandered onto their set and saw this.
Though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil.
While the two of them search for the kids, they get to talking, and we learn a little bit more about the main dude's backstory.
Is it true what they say about you?
What's true? What story are you talking about?
They say you saved a bunch of children.
Oh, he for sure was not expecting her to say save kids. There is definitely a dark secret he's hiding. But yes, he did save a bunch of kids, so he tells us about it. And the movie makes it weird by choosing now as the only time they pipe sound effects into the background.
God helped me save a bunch of children that day at the school. There was an active shooter. And when you show up on scene, you're supposed to wait for the team before you can enter the school. But there were children involved. And I didn't think we had time to wait for the team. So I was the first on scene. I rushed the school. There were 2 active shooters. I was taking fire. I went room to room until I got close enough. And then I ran out of ammo.
That story just keeps right on going, but I'm gonna cut it there. This movie makes it very difficult to get a clear excerpt of anything that isn't 3 minutes long. Basically, all he says is that he ran out of ammo, but by the grace of God, he was able to convince the shooter that he still had some long enough that he could take his weapon away from him. Which, like, alright. Christian movies are so weird to me because whenever they have a story about how God helped, it's always because something went wrong. And that always just makes me wonder why God didn't make it go right in the first place. Why couldn't he have helped by making him remember more ammo? Or better yet, why not just nix the school shooting altogether? Whatever though, the mayor seems moved by it.
What was that for?
I was very moved by your story.
Alright, this is less a criticism of this movie and more of movies in general, but why do characters always choose the most dramatic time to kiss? It is very weird to me that this woman finished listening to the story about him surviving a school shooting, and her first thought was, alright, time to make my move. Especially because, lest you forget, they are currently searching for 3 missing children, one of whom may be her daughter. I'm still not entirely sure the specifics there. You'd think that they'd be able to keep it in their pants until they at least had confirmation that the girls hadn't been horribly mauled, but apparently they can't. This isn't even the only time during their search that they kiss.
Claire, one more thing.
We have to get out of here. What if it comes back?
I did not edit that in any way. That is what those little girls are going through while the two of them are giving each other's mouths a tongue bath. Although I guess to be fair, it must be pretty hard to resist the temptation when you have chemistry this strong.
I gotta go to the bathroom.
I thought hunters didn't use the bathroom.
I'm a cop, and we use bathrooms.
Don't forget your gun.
I don't forget my gun. Only beautiful women do.
Eventually, they do stop going to town on one another long enough that they actually find Bigfoot.
There he is!
See? The cop prepares for battle by praying to the Lord, which, I don't know, feels like it's tripping things up a little bit when time's a factor, but then again, what do I know about murdering a Sasquatch?
Blessed be the Lord my strength, who teaches my hands to war and my fingers to fight.
Again, to me, this does not feel like a ringing endorsement of Christ, because you'd think that if his prayers had worked, he wouldn't have dropped his gun. I guess it's just a matter of perception though, because I think the filmmakers would argue that even though he dropped his gun, it's because of Jesus that he's able to get back up and do this. Actually, I think I need to take back what I just said, because watching the scene is the closest I've come in a while to believing in God. You win this round, movie. This scene goes on for about 3.5 minutes, which is a remarkably long time for an hour-long movie. And yet somehow it's not long enough. I feel like he's punching a lot of trees. That doesn't feel like a very effective way to win a fight. And that's probably why Bigfoot manages to get the upper hand.
Get up, Harrison!
What do you mean, get up? Bigfoot just smashed his head in with a rock. He'll be lucky if he ever walks again. They make the mayor weirdly useless in this movie, and I'm not sure, but I feel like it's meant to be a commentary on Christian gender roles.
I'm not as tough as you.
It's not your job to be tough. It's my job to be tough. I'll take care of you. Just stay close.
The mayor doesn't really seem capable of handling any part of this situation without the help of a big, strong man. And I would say that it's sexist, but the woman playing her also directed this movie. So instead I'll just say that it's kind of weird. Like, you'd think that she'd maybe try to find the gun the guy dropped so that she could shoot Bigfoot herself. But instead she does this.
I need you to get up now, Harrison. Harrison!
Put her down!
Whatever though, it works. The guy manages to get up and then he punches some more trees and that somehow takes down Bigfoot. And you might think that once they manage to slay the beast, that would be the end of the movie, but well, there's more.
Let's get you home, come on.
Sorry, did I wake you?
This dream I was having is what woke me. You know what, I think you're right.
I'm right? About what?
I think it's time to throw away these violent movies and these monster films. There's got to be some cleaner action movies I can be watching.
That's right. This whole thing was a dream. Which actually makes a lot of sense given how people talk and the general logic of everything. I guess that the point of the movie was to try and create options for Christian monster movies because regular monster movies are bad for the mind and cause bad dreams. And I try to grapple with the logic behind the fact that the movie they made to try and combat bad dreams is the bad dream in the movie they made. But I think that might literally kill me, so instead I'm just gonna call it there. So yeah, that's my video. Please like and subscribe and share and comment. And turn on the little bell thing. I hear that's important. I have not personally done it for anyone that I watch on YouTube, but if you could do it for me, that would be great. Also, go watch this movie. It's really fun, and it's on Tubi. You can watch it for free, and even though I probably don't agree with them on anything, I like the idea of a smaller filmmaker getting some money, so support Tubi movies. Or if you want to support me, you can do that by subscribing to my Patreon or the other one. Super thanksing me. Super thanksing. Which also, I have some super thanks to super thanks back. 1 second. Okay, so super thank you to the Crafty Witch UK, Mountain Horse 9419, Ciara Gregoli 464, Schlabidoo, Schlabidoo22, Catperson126, and I am probably wrong. I appreciate it. Schlabidoo. Also, if you need toilet paper or paper towels, I'm going to include paper towels this time, go to my affiliate links below. I'm going to try this out. Didn't go well last time because most of the things I linked to were sold out, and I don't really know how to do that. But if you guys need toilet paper or paper towels, which let's be honest, everyone needs, you can buy them through me, and then I'll make a small percentage of what you buy, so you'll also support the channel. But again, huge caveat, not sure if the toilet paper and paper towels are sold out, so this might just be like another thing. I think it's a good idea. It just didn't work out in practice, but we'll try again. Oh, also, for those keeping track, this is the second time in my career where I've watched a movie where someone bare knuckle boxes Bigfoot. So if you want to watch the first one, I'm going to link that below. And then I'm also going to link below to a better video because that video is not very good on my part. The movie is very funny, but the parts that I talk are not my best work. That's my video. Goodbye. Just kidding, it's not. It's time for the thing where I pose for a thumbnail and then the name scroll, and that's it. Do you like my song? It's called It's Time for the part where I pose for a thumbnail and then the name scroll, parentheses, shake your ass. So for this one, I think I'm just gonna be excited because it's Bigfoot. That's exciting. So like, hell yeah. That one's like, hell. I don't know what anything is going on anymore. The other day, I got my YouTube recommended, and it was all like music videos, and I've never watched a music video in my life, so that makes me think that they are changing the algorithm, and I'm about to be booked. So, I'm nervous. I don't know what to do. So I need to have the best thumbnail possible to justify doing this some more. Hell yeah. No, see, but it's a Christian movie, so I probably shouldn't throw up the devil horns. It's the Christian version of the devil horn, like angel wings, like that's gay. Maybe that. I'll just do like the Simpsons, you got the dud face, like. I can't smile on command. It really sucks because everyone thinks like, so if you ask me to smile, ask me to smile. Okay, this is how I smile. And it's like, and everyone thinks I'm like faking it for attention. It's like, no, I'm like, people will be like, smile. And I'll be like, I am smiling. And then my dad will be like, Willie, you're ruining Christmas. And it's like, I just don't. So like, I need to, I don't know. Hopefully these smiles don't look that bad. Like, I'm just excited about this one. Thank you, Charlie, for pointing this one out to me. If you guys have movies that you want me to watch, Patreon message me. Although I probably won't respond. Sorry to anyone who's a patron that I haven't responded to. I'm scared to go into my Patreon now because it's like another form of email where I'm like, only it's like email, but for people that I like and want to respond to. So then I get really anxious and don't respond because it's like, if I don't do it immediately. It's not a ringing endorsement of my Patreon. Let me see what this looks like. That's a good face. Like, but how many chins do I have? Time will tell. That just feels creepy. I feel like when I try to, the more I try to like do poses that seem to work, the more I just turn into like a haunted clown doll. Which frankly was probably my like final evolution. That'd be cool as hell. Anyway, I'll probably go from there, and then I'll just be like, I'll do one more just to like make sure, like an old standby, like, what? Bigfoot, the badge, and the Bible? Okay, goodbye.